Well, today is Friday, the last day of the week. I'm excited as always, and today we're gonna have a lot of fun on the show. Honorable Ibuseni is announcing his presence even before he's announced. Hey, good morning. You are introducing yourself even before you are introduced. We've not shot the gun for the race to start. You've already started the race.
I won't dance myself before the real dance, but this is a teaser.
Hey, teaser.
If you don't lick your lips, then I'll patch them for you.
If you don't lick your lips, some girl will lick it for you.
Hey, I didn't say that. If you say this and somebody is listening to me in the house,
who is that somebody? Oh, you mean chief of defense staff?
Kwame.
Wow. Fridays are my best days, and I'm sure you know why, because we get to sit with, knowledgeable people, people who understand governance and democracy. And we're going to try as much as possible to deal with all the substantive matters. I'm sure you are aware of the Speaker's return and what transpired on occasion in Parliament yesterday. He's torn between the decision which he himself took and the decision which was taken after he went on medical leave to Dubai. So clearly, these are contentious matters which ought to be discussed here on the show. So Honorable Ibuseni, I've announced him. Bernard Mona is also here. Good morning.
Good morning, Kwame.
How should I describe you? I think you are the African giant. African giant, Bernard Mona.
How do you mean?
African giant. I mean, the giant of Africa who, loves Africa, who likes to preach Pan-Africanism.
In other words, what you should have said is that you are an African patriot.
I cannot claim that status when Alaji.
As a patriot.
Oh, no.
When Alaji is
how can you say that?
Honorable is
the giant.
The reason why I'm saying this is because now you don't belong to any political party.
He is talking about giant. And
Honorable,
he
belongs to a political party.
Which one is that?
I am a PNC.
What party
People's National Convention.
What party?
My party.
How can you
Which one is that?
It is an attack on my person.
I'm not attacking your person.
Are you
saying that you are oblivious of a party called PNC?
When you
PNC.
When you sit here and tell me that,
but the one that is it the party that the leader was ambassador at large?
Yes, that's my party. That is my party, and you do know that it is my party. The fact that we are not doing well electorally does not mean that I do not have a political party. Let it be
the party doesn't exist.
Let it be established that
so the party exists.
I belong to the PNC.
Yes.
I am a bona fide member.
The
only thing that I am not is that I am no more an executive member, but I still have a voice, and a strong
very
one.
Important voice.
So do you represent the CVP here today on the show? PNC this morning on the show?
I don't come here because the communications secretary of the party has not assigned me, and that is my boss, Owusu Ishak. So if the communications secretary, assuming you were inviting people to this show on the basis of party representation, you need to seek the approval of the communications secretary so that they can say I should come. So at any point in time when the party decides I should go and communicate for them on any issue, I have to listen to my boss, Owusu Ishak.
Okay.
You see how table turned?
Yes.
I used to be his boss. Now he's my boss.
Yes.
And John Mama used to be subordinate to Spiogabra. Later, Spiogabra became John Mama's
subordinate. But such is life, honorable.
And
yes,
so,
exactly.
And I remember,
that's why humility counts.
And I remember Frema Opare was the deputy to Nana Akomia when they were at the labor office.
Right now,
Akomia has to go and say, good morning, madam.
But such is life.
Yeah, so I am happy that Owusu and Co have risen to the occasion.
That is why you must always be faithful to conscience and deal with people, on the basis of
But I think that you should retract that. You don't know that.
Which one? PNC? I was just joking. I was just joking.
I am a member of the PNC, and I'll continue to.
Owusu Ishak will not even be happy with me. Yes. But it's well and good.
I like the young man.
Yeah, very dynamic. Yeah, very dynamic. He was trained well. You trained him well.
Well, he agreed to learn.
You trained him well.
It's not always the training, but you must agree to learn.
I'm sure that training, but not the other ones, the other side of the
probably he is my professor in that regard.
Sorry?
I said
my
The other one, the other one, the man is alone.
No, he's my professor.
No. I
The other one,
I can't believe that.
I say he's my professor.
How do you say professor?
In that regard.
How do you call me? It appears you have some professorial skills. We need to learn from you. Gambian opposition seeks election annulment. Daily Graphic. Parliament battling in a dilemma, torn between majority and minority. Republic Press. Government to purchase new presidential jets. How Ghana spent over 6.8 billion on importation of rice in 3 years. Interesting topics here. Good morning again, Honorable. Good morning again, Bernard Mona. Let me remind the viewers that we're streaming live on Facebook, and so you can share your thoughts with us here on the show via our Facebook platform. I'm also on Facebook, Kwame Owusu Danso. I'm on Twitter, Kwame Owusu Danso. I'm on Instagram, Kwame Owusu Danso. And so you can send me your messages via those platforms, and I will, more than willing, read the messages out. Fortunately, I have been sent pictures of the new presidential jet. I am sending them to Bless Headman Alomaso. So when we get to discuss that, oh, he has it already. Okay, when we get to discuss that, then we can project it on the screen. But I forwarded them to you as well, Bless Headman Alomaso. It appears that we love luxury. The only luxury that I know is luxury restaurant in Tamale. Yes, when I'm always treated to some nice chuzafi and guinea fowl and things like that. It's just beautiful. All right, sure. So we go to Gambia now, where opposition is seeking election annulment. With respect, Comrade Bernard Mona, if I may start with you, sir.
Good morning to you, and good morning to Alhaji A.B.F. Husseini. You have not accounted for the consistent absence of Sabo or any of his fraternal members on the show. But today I can understand their absence because they will be having their National Delegates Conference in Kumasi. But I can also imagine that a certain level of fatigue is taking on Sabo, and in particular that he appears to be, his party is in power, but he's in opposition.
How do you just express fatigue? Look at all the things he's done.
I'm saying that there is fatigue.
Fatigue in terms of representation.
No, in terms of, right, you see, there is fatigue in the press. No, there's fatigue in the press, Alhaji. Fuel prices are still up. And now the government is attempting...
He has been coming here to defend the indefensible.
An obnoxious e-levy. And at a time when my brother's packet is loose now,
yes,
and he cannot,
he comes here to do all the
he cannot take fuel. You know where Sabo is.
That they are doing, and the people will take
to
the
travel all that way to this place. Your amount of fuel that he consumes with his luxury car. You remember that luxury car, yeah. Which consumes a lot. So buying fuel to make the trip has been a problem and a challenge for him. So I think Alhaji, he's your brother and he's your constituent.
His neck on the chopping board, and people are carrying all the benefits away from him. You think that you will not
be Sabo, I sympathize with the economic predicament.
When the appointment came, didn't I tell you here that you don't give it to him?
You said it.
Oh, sure. You don't know the function of these people.
But it's sad, though.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, I think it's a very hard.
That is the politics.
Which is why Saka Salia has also decided that. Listen,
you know what the most painful thing was? I was on the farm when some colleagues and friends of the media started congratulating you, not even Sabo, that, oh, you worked hard for Sabo to be nominated as DCE.
I told Kwame here that it's a
because his name was shortlisted as the person who performed and talked.
It's a farce.
You know, there was that document that was leaked. And then, unknowingly, his name did not show up when the final list was mentioned. And so that certainly has a heavy devastation.
Bernard, I'm sure you are also being charitable, economical with the truth. Gabi had issued a statement. And you know who Gabi is in the current scheme of things.
Yes.
I said that people should disregard a list going around because that list is fake. And then eventually when the thing comes out, they will see what the true list is.
But what has
what
has Sabo done?
Why?
You know, not to merit the support of government. Because I think that is really demonstrated.
Kwame, they are the owners of the party who have a list of people they want to give appointment.
Yeah, but is it about
what are you
is it
talking
about the people who are competent enough to do the
Don't
job?
waste your time.
Is it about competence?
Kwame, how
or
much-
is it about
how
good
much-
looking?
In political offices,
loyalty.
you don't talk about competence. You talk about godfather or,
Loyalty.
or godmother. You talk about where you come from.
But your loyalty should be to the party, not to an individual.
I'm saying you talk about where you come from. Sabo doesn't come from within the spoils. You should understand this. And I think that ABA mentioned it eloquently on this show.
Wasting time.
That said, Kwame, my own Gambia is in trouble. I'm sure that Kwesi Pratt will be telling me that this is what you bargained for. Because there were many who were still favorable to Yahya Jammeh when I was in the trenches with Adam Barrow, Dr. Ahmad Mafati, and their likes, and we were struggling for the Gambia from the high-handedness of Yahya Jammeh, who, by all standards, in terms of his vision and ideas, except if he was pretending, but he couldn't have pretended for long that he was an avowed Pan-Africanist, and he believes in the African values. Yet, the way he managed the Gambia, as if it was a personal property, and don't forget that at a very tender age, he took Dawda Jawara out of office and has been there. And so many of us thought that it was time to change. And I worked. In fact, some of them stayed and lived with me in Accra. You can talk of the My Party and co. Many who knew that there were instances I was a threat to myself because I was keeping people like Mafati, who later became the Minister for Interior when they formed a coalition to defeat Yahya Jammeh in the election. And I recall that soon after the elections in 2020, was it 2020? No.
The Gambian election?
Yeah, 2016.
The one that brought Barrow?
Yes, 2016.
It was in 2016.
2016. And the election was conducted on the 1st of, in fact, the results were declared on the 1st of December. And I was on a campaign. So as soon as the results were announced and that they won, I was the first person they called and asked me to link up with certain key Ghanaian leaders that they had won the election. So they sent a message which I forwarded to some people that ABA, that our opposition friends had won the elections in the Gambia and that we were going to constitute the first batch of guests that will be coming to the Gambia. It was such a surprising news that Yahya Jammeh could lose the elections. But immediately I got some intel from Senegal that Yahya Jammeh will overcome the shock and immediately say that the elections were not credible, they should recount or redo the elections. So I asked that they should take Adama Barrow out of this or the Gambia and take him to Senegal, as if I could predict rightly or the information was wrong. When Adama Barrow left the Gambia, soon Yahya Jammeh started talking about the elections were not credible. He was calling for a rerun. There were many, what do we call it, infractions.
Yeah.
And then I had the likes of Sadi Khan, who, young man as he was, we decided that we should print what we call the Gambia Has Decided, a t-shirt that I still keep. And so everywhere, the Gambia Has Decided, and funded by, of course, people whose faces didn't want to show. And so everywhere it was written, the Gambia had decided, and you were posting pictures. So whilst we were in the Gambia, it was obvious that the system was looking after us. At one point, myself and a friend in Senegal, who were being trailed. So we got into some restaurant, passed through the washroom, we went out, and Alhaji, we had to go and take Yahya Jammeh's paraphernalia to wear in order to sit on motorbikes to cross into Senegal so that we can save our dear lives. I had thought that by the manner, because we thought that so many things were wrong, that when Yahya Jammeh leaves, Adama Barrow and his team would work together to bring about a certain level of sanity. And don't forget that Adama Barrow had insisted that he, with his coalition, he was not going to run the full 5-year term. And that soon after, they have done. He was going to serve for 3 years and will hand over elections to the coalition
Precisely.
partner. That did not work.
No.
The jargon term did not work, and that became a major frustrating issue for the partners that he worked with, because though it was not codified anywhere, but it was a public pronouncement that, look, after 3 years, Adama Barrow will cede power to the other people. Subsequently, when he realized that the coalition partners were not, he decided to now form alliance with Yahya Jammeh's political party. You can call it the most abhorred political party, now became an ally of Adama Barrow and his political party going into the elections. And so it was obvious that Yahya Jammeh, after ruling for such a long period, still had the military and the security at his command. And so if you formed coalition with the remnants of his party, anything was happening. And therefore it means that you are returning to the days of Yahya Jammeh. And so when the elections were conducted, don't forget that the Gambia is the only country that continued to use the marble as the ballot. They don't use ballot papers. It doesn't cost them to print ballot papers. They just use marbles. So they throw the marbles in the boxes, and then you go and count the marbles and determine. So it's virtually the most cost-effective. You understand? It's innovative, cost-effective. You can look at it and some of the nuances. But they use marbles. You can call it stone. As my friend used to say, he said they are in the stone age, where they don't use ballot papers, but they use the stone to determine who wins and who doesn't win. And so when the results were counted, ECOWAS, AU, and all the international observers credited the results as good, in spite of the fact that Dabo and others are constantly claiming that the elections have not been free and fair. There were a lot of infractions. There were piling of the marbles in favor of Adama Barrow. But I would hope that this will not take long. The Gambia has suffered some isolation internationally. The Gambia has not had good image in terms of the African continent with Yahya Jammeh when he was killing or said to have killed about 44 Ghanaians and what have you. And all that, where we have reached now, in spite of my disappointment, I would think that let them work a rapprochement that will lead to a peaceful resolution of the electoral difficulties. If it turns out that indeed they go to court and the court finds it as they did in Kenya and in Malawi. Don't forget that in Malawi, the president had to eventually lose the elections. And so in Kenya, they had to call for a rerun of the elections. So if it requires that the elections to go to a rerun, let them do so within the ambience of civility. Let the Gambia continue to be a peaceful country. After all, the Gambia is not a big thing. Gambia is actually surrounded by Senegal. It's just a stretch in Senegal. And so they are my friends. I don't know what to say, but I'm disappointed in the manner they have gone about things so far.
Right. Thank you, Bernard. Well, let me remind you again that we're streaming live on Facebook, so you can share with us what your thoughts are on this Gambian issue. And read it. Honorable, please.
Yeah, Kwame, let me say a very good morning to your good self, to my distinguished comrade Bernard Mona.
Sabo.
Sabo, I sympathize with you. I told you that. You see, when you are jumping into water, you must first measure the depth. And Kwame, I told you from the onset that knowing the MPP for what I know them to be, the chronism and the certain degree of lineage appointments, it wouldn't come. So Kwame, I greet him in absentia. The good viewers of Pan-Africa TV and the Blichina people of the Sanargo constituency. Kwame, let me say up initio that for me is a huge disappointment. And it is part of the scenario in Africa where people collaborate, work together to liberate themselves from a dictatorship, and no sooner has power come to them, then they get at each other again, and the accusations that they level against the former regime that they work together to get rid of now take center stage in their own accusation. And so Bernard has spoken very eloquently. He is one of the people who are insiders to some of these intrigues in some of these African countries. And he has a better insight into Gambia because he has participated directly and he's spoken. When the landlord tells you the story of his house, you don't ask a caretaker for confirmation. So I can only prefer some distance from my reading of international politics. Of course, I was also a writer on international politics, so I know how these things have gone. But Kwame, for me, it is a betrayal of the collective effort to liberate their country from the shackles of dictatorship and undemocratic tendencies. And today, they are accusing themselves again of the same undemocratic tendencies they leveled against Yahya Jammeh. I used to remember some of the things they said were that elections under Jammeh were rigged and that it was not true democracy. So having now had the benefit of being at the helm of affairs of state, the same thing is now coming from forces who joined together to fight the dictatorship. So have you, attacking you in the evening, you are greeting good night. Good night. Have you gone or have we come? So Kwame, that is for me the disappointment that one has to do. And then I think that these are early signals that the ECOWAS must look at seriously so that it doesn't degenerate to a point where instead of finding very peaceful methods of resolving that matter, it may degenerate. So I think that ECOWAS should activate its early intervention signals and see what it can make of the situation there, so that the AU stands by for any eventuality that ECOWAS cannot do much to bring a solution to the problem. And for me, the people of Gambia, I mean, Kwame, Gambia is just, like Bernard said, a tiny enclave ensconced in Senegal.
About 2.5 million.
It's just a strip of land moving into the middle part from the Gambia River down inside Senegal. So
actually, Accra is bigger than
if you are talking of a non-viable state, it is the very, very best example of a completely non-viable state. I'm saying that even Ghana, other countries which are even far 20, 30 times bigger than Gambia, those are not even viable states, let alone Gambia. And so if you have to contend with these problems again, even when you can't carry twigs, you are adding locks to your load. You see that completely you'll be overwhelmed. So Kwame, I think that first and foremost, it behoves on Gambians to collectively look at the issues at stake. If there were, for all you know, there may be some genuine problems that have arisen from the elections. In African elections, many things can happen. So dispassionately, they should undertake a look, see what has gone wrong, and then rectify it and see how they can move forward. Otherwise, there's no prospect for any democracy thriving. And if they make a mistake and the likes of Jammeh come back again, they will go back and start from where they left off.
Most grateful, Honorable Ebi Ofuseni. Well, let's come back home. I believe we have our own issues to also deal with. One of such is the back and forth in Parliament. I'm sure you are privy to, you know, what has occasioned. I don't want to belabor anything. But clearly, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, returned to Parliament after he took medical leave to Dubai. And yesterday, he made some very profound statements on the floor, which statement indeed have become a subject of political conversation. Honorable Comrade Benamona, let me start with you again on what transpired yesterday. I'm sure today we're going to have a lot of conversations and whether or not we're going to have concessions, etc., relative to the budget. Yesterday I listened to him. He indicated to us that he had met the leadership of both sides. It appears that there is no end in sight in terms of one conceding to the other, or in terms of reaching some conclusions relative to the budget approval. So what do you make of all of these bottlenecks? Which bottlenecks have been created as a result of, I don't know whether deliberate or otherwise, of both political parties in an attempt to, bring what they see as development, or what they see as representing the true aspirations of the people?
I'm told that crime has no expiry date. And so when an illegality is committed, it constitutes a crime. And therefore, if Parliament sat through and decided that they were going to reject a budget under the speakership of Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagwin, and then the budget was soundly rejected, it was the first time in the history, probably, of world politics that proponents of a budget will run away from defending the budget statement. You bring your own document to the House and run and leave the document, and you expect the other side to go and hail that document. It was unthinkable. And so for whatever it is, you will hold your document and stay in. In fact, it was better for you to do everything to disrupt the processes from federating than for you to run and leave the document, because it was unthinkable. But the myopism that has been associated with our parliamentary democracy exhibited its fullness in that hall when the majority decided that they walk away because the Speaker of Parliament had insisted that he was going to take a division, as was demanded by the
majority leader,
the deputy majority leader, Afenyo Makins.
Yeah.
And so when he was going to call for the division, he said, all non-members of the House must leave the chamber. And it was at that point that the Minister for Finance was said to also be part of it, that everybody should leave. So the issue was, Minister for Finance should not leave. Then they said he should leave, so that they can take the division properly. That means that they should count the people that were present as they were going out, and then the results will be announced. The second one, probably, as the Speaker tried to control, it was the MP for Mpraeso, my own friend Davis, who decided to instruct.
He's your friend?
Yeah, he's my friend, because whilst I was youth organizer, he was still a student at Legon. And so they used to come around so we can share ideas. And then he used what I call his obolo-ness, you know, obolo-ness, to instruct J. Mensah Bonsu, and I think that his physical being.
In fact, he didn't instruct them, he hounded them out.
He told them that if they don't leave, he would deal with them. And then they had to leave in such a manner that...
He's a cool guy too.
He hounded them out.
Because I could see the venom coming from his face. And I'm sure that looking at his stature, they feared that he could grab one of them and then squeeze them of their little lives. And so they left Parliament. I think, and I said it on this platform, the Speaker of Parliament was too charitable when he decided to suspend Parliament in the hope that they would see reason to come back and defend their own budget. Unfortunately, they left. And then the debate went on as to whether the Minister for Finance should have the time to meet the extended leadership of both sides. Was put to vote, and I recall that it was rejected by 137. And as to whether they should approve the budget statement was also rejected. The Speaker had insisted the budget was rejected. Unfortunately, the Speaker had his own travel arrangements prior to the approval of the budget, and I think that he actually planned such that when the budget was done, he can go, because it was his first sitting for a budget statement. Once there was that hiatus, he left. And then the following week, that is on the Tuesday, we had the first Deputy Speaker go and sit in the House, in the chamber, and decided that he would obliterate the work of his boss. Kwame, I don't know why Bagwin did the statement yesterday. Seriously, I don't know why he did the statement. Because what he did, and Bagwin pointed out, you are saying that anybody who is acting capacity can obliterate the work of a substantive minister. So if there is an acting minister who comes and a contract has been awarded, that acting minister can come and say this contract to this contractor should be cancelled.
Abrogated.
that if there is a president and the president takes a decision, and the president is not around,
Vice President can come
an acting president can take over. And that's why I'm saying that Bagbin should have waited. Because there will come an opportunity where Bagbin will act as president. Not so. Bagbin will act as president.
You will never let it happen.
Because if the president is not around, and by default the vice president is infirmed,
but I think
I'm saying that in such instances, I mean, something can occur that the two of them will not be around.
But they always consciously plan to make sure that it doesn't happen.
You understand? When that thing happens,
the president will come
Bagbin
back.
should terminate some ministers' appointment. Sack them. You understand? Because you have allowed the deputy speaker, first deputy speaker, to show way that once you are in acting capacity, you can take certain decisions. Contrary to the decisions that, so if I were the Speaker of Parliament, I will not do anything. I will just wait for an opportune moment. President is not there, Vice President is not there. I will be in command. I will sack ministers. In fact, I will even remove the Chief of Staff. You understand? You have to act because there are certain precedents that will come to consume all of us. And so he put the question rightly, that can the vice president overturn a decision presided over by the president? And then you, the deputy speaker, get up on partisanship and decide that, look, the speaker has taken a ruling, and because the speaker is not there, you will have to muscle out the decision of the speaker. And you are happy with it. Your children are in school, they want to learn. And this is the example you are setting for us. And so I thought that, look, let us agree that they have overturned Bagbin's decision and that this is the norm. And now all of us should be praying for an opportune moment. Because I remember that it was Speaker Alajete when he was the Speaker of Parliament. President Kufuor had traveled. Aliu Mahama also traveled. And he became the president. And then he commandeered the horses and the presidential motorcade. No, you were not in Parliament then. He had commandeered all because he used to stay at cantonments not far from where I was staying. And so the presidential motorcade and everything came. And he said, no, he is president, so he must leave the fullness of the president. And at a function at the then IEA, he said that he regretted that he did not appoint a minister or sack a minister because he wanted to test the law. So this was, in my opinion, an opportune moment for Bagbin to do something so that we'll see whether this nation's democracy will move on. And I will see whether a president will come and say that when I was not there, the acting president took over and suspended or sacked my chief of staff and decided that the chief of defense staff should be removed from office. Because these things could lead to a constitutional crisis.
Absolutely.
And there are people who work in the political science department who come to defend some of these things that happen, that even those of us who don't know anything, we will not do. Now, yesterday, after listening to Bagbin's statement, I felt very sad.
Why?
He pointed out the wrongs and the ills and left it at that.
Yeah, I was also very disappointed. I thought he was going to
reverse
it or say...
He pointed out, and I'm surprised that people did not see the sarcasm with which he said that Joe Wise had committed an act tantamount to insubordination. That was sarcasm when he said that who is he to say that he has committed an act of insubordination. And people don't see that he's telling his person that, look, you have acted so shamefully that any act of insubordination should be met. I don't know that whether there is a parliamentary punishment for insubordination to the extent that it was. But it means that some sanctions should be imposed on the first deputy speaker for acting ultra vires. And indeed, he did. And there he was. When the cameras showed on him, you could see that the two things that Bagbin said A vice president cannot overturn. Can a vice president overturn the decision of the president? Then the cameras showed on him. He was sitting down like I don't know how to describe it. Like a guinea fowl that rain has beaten.
One thing that Babin is seeking to do,
You
and
know?
I think that from all his pronouncements, is trying to depoliticize. Well, I mean,
There's nothing
Parliament.
like depoliticizing. Look, something is wrong.
Yeah.
And I was really heavy at heart when I saw that the budget debate had started and that committees were meeting to defend for the defense of the budget. And I'm like, you rejected the budget. Now, I also remember vividly that it was at one such sitting that it was Ahmed Ibrahim who drew the attention and called that there should be a bill on the e-levy. Have you seen the bill?
No.
I should give me my phone. Let me give you a copy
The
of
bill
the
has
bill.
come. The bill is before. In fact, we are
No.
supposed
Let me show you
to
the
deal
bill.
with the bill
Oh,
today
give it to him, give it to him.
You understand?
on the floor
So,
of the house.
And then it was Ahmed Ibrahim that had to even alert them that why you have brought the business of the house and that you have not brought the bill accompanying the e-levy. How do you expect people to talk about the e-levy? Because there must be a bill because the e-levy must become a law on its own. Kwame, it was at that point that the deputy majority leader said that we are in an era of compromises and that they should consider, what do we call it? They should consider the issue and that they should go now and to work out to bring about the bill on the e-levy. And yesterday I read the entire bill 3 times. I read it and I read it and I read it. And after reading it, I felt so sad for this nation. The justification for the e-levy are the same that we used to get the 2.2 billion euro bond.
Yeah.
The justification, they didn't go anywhere. They just went and picked the same justification and came and put it, except that this time they changed it to electronic transactions. And you went for that loan, you have nothing to show for it. And when they asked, you said you use that one to pay for debts. So, ab initio, this e-levy is not going to solve anything. It is going to be used to further their comfort, their creature. That worries me. And I hope that our members of parliament have gone through and perused it. It was the same argument that they used to every bond that they have. You see that, look, it's like it is a rehearsed standard. And now when they are even talking, initially they said that e-levy was going to be to support entrepreneurial growth. They used that.
Use that, yeah.
Go and check the number of things that e-levy is going to do. And the entrepreneurial aspect is even like an add-on.
Insignificant.
But how do you tell me that you are going to do a support for entrepreneurs when you are already eating into the capital of entrepreneurs? Bank transactions are going to be affected.
Yeah.
And COVID has made it such that people don't travel again because of social distances and what have you. So as soon as they are able to confirm, they do transactions electronically. So their capital base is going to be affected by this. How is that to promote entrepreneurial development? And yesterday, I was happy that in the course of the Speaker of Parliament's presentation, he was talking about 1.75% of e-levy, or 1% of e-levy, or 0.5% of the e-levy, and I could hear voices saying that 0% of e-levy.
That was from outside.
I could hear voices shouting 0% e-levy. That means that we are becoming responsive to the plight of the farmer, to the plight of the trader, to the plight of all of us. Because I tell you that going to the farm, we need to buy inputs. And sometimes we have to do e-transactions for all the time.
All the time.
All the time. Because if you have to do banker's draft for anything, it is electronic transaction. You understand? If you have to buy feed and other things, it is e-transactions. And therefore, we are going to suffer a huge loss on the capital. So farming will be affected. And I'm sure that you have heard Karawe, who said that, look, contrary to the minister's pronouncement that there is going to be food, the current 2 weeks to Christmas, now it's 1 week to Christmas. 1 week to Christmas, you've seen where food prices are. And this is supposed to be the harvest season. Because majority of people are still harvesting. And things are supposed to be cheap. But things are high. So you can imagine what will happen in February, March. Prices will get to a certain level. And so Bagbin did well by communicating and pointing out the ills that were perpetuated. But my greatest disappointment is that after that long speech, what? Has the budget been rejected? Because you should stand by your ruling and say that after you have given all this lengthy thing, the budget cannot stand. Because Bagbin said that walking out of parliament does not constitute or does not nullify a decision of parliament. It means you were present, you decided to walk away. And so, how does that constitute? So, and the minority did not sit in parliament. Did you sit in parliament? They didn't sit in parliament when the issue was taken. So you can't count them. But you sat in parliament, you were debating the processes.
And they decided to walk out.
And you decided to walk out. So you were counted as present in the house. And yet, Bagbin's decision is said to be wrong. You come, you have nullified the Bagbin, you come and give us a very long statement. And then you don't tell us the action that followed.
Yeah.
What even saddened me most was that he has requested the Minister for Finance to come and submit an amended statement in Parliament, meaning you are acquiescing to the wrongs that have been perpetuated. So is that the compromise that Bagbin, the Speaker of Parliament, reached with the leadership? That he will come and tell the people of Ghana that he was wrong and that he had decided to compromise? In that compromise, the executive has overridden Parliament. In that compromise, Parliament has become subservient to the executive arm of government. In that compromise, you cannot assert the full independence of our legislature.
Yeah.
And I am very disappointed that he took this thing. But I just want to still maintain that we of the Justice for Ghana stand that there should be no e-levy, and the hashtag is no to e-levy.
No.
And so we are going to act. We gave them up to Tuesday to respond to us. They have not responded. So we'll be taking actions.
All right.
We'll be taking actions before Parliament rises.
All right. Thank you very much, Comrade Bernard Mona, for that. Honorable A.B. Hussein, I've seen that you are literally writing a speech. But I know that clearly it is going to deal with all the loopholes that perhaps we've left unattended to. Sir, respectfully, the floor is yours.
Okay.
You can address me as Mr. Speaker.
At the risk of facing contempt proceedings in the House.
Just right away.
For the purposes of this sitting, Mr. Speaker.
It's not properly roped as a speaker.
So they have to put your gown before I can.
No, this is mine.
You should put on your long gown so that I can properly address you. Yes.
Oh, God.
First and foremost, let me, and I can share some of the concerns, legitimate, especially when you talked about the dilemma of the speaker. I will come to that. But, Kwame, from the very onset, and we in the NDC group had insisted that the rejection of the budget was proper, legitimate, and done in the best interest of this country. Kwame, yesterday Mr. Speaker began his speech. Of course, everybody was in the chamber by offering thanks to God for what has happened, and he's coming back and everything. and then zeroed in on the disturbances that happened in Parliament. That it was not dignifying of the House, and a lot of things sent some negative image about Parliament and others, for which there were some misgivings, on the basis of which he sought to render an apology and pledged that such behavior will no longer be tolerated in the House. But Mr. Speaker also anchored the happiness in the House on the, quote, misconduct of the person who was in the chair. Bernard Mona made an allusion to this thing that he said it was insubordinate. He used the word misconduct bordering on insubordination. I'm sure you got it. Okay, Kwame. Misconduct. When he said, "Oh, who am I?" You could appreciate the sarcasm. It was a sarcasm to tell you that you had misconducted yourself, and that the misconduct, that attitude of misconduct, bordered on insubordination, to overturn what your superior had left for you before you left office, and for you to misconduct yourself in order to overturn it. Not even to use legitimate means to overturn it, but to engage in an act of misconduct so as to overturn it. Kwame, what was this act of misconduct? To begin with, we in the NDC said that our decision was to reject the budget was legitimate, and it was anchored both on adherence to our constitution as well as to the standing orders of the House. Kwame, on the day that we threw out the budget, the most authentic document in the House, and yesterday Mr. Speaker made that clear, which I will come to very soon, that the most authentic documentation to show proof of attendance to the House, and they made a distinction between the House and the chamber. And Mr. Speaker made it clearly yesterday that when you are talking about issues of numbers in the House, you are talking about numbers in Parliament, not necessarily in the chamber. And so the most authentic document, Kwame, for members in the House is the Hansard. Is the votes and proceedings. The votes and proceedings will indicate to you who was in Parliament. And on that day we took the decision, there were 274 members of Parliament, as borne out by the Hansard. Kwame, there was only one person who was absent, Honorable Adwasafo. Officially, she was the only person who was marked as absent. So the 275 members of Parliament, 74 members of Parliament were in the House. And Kwame, as at the time even the decision making started on the floor of Parliament, when Mr. Speaker had ruled, when he put the finance minister's prayer of asking for extended time to meet people, when that ruling was given by Mr. Speaker, 274 members were in the chamber. And Mr. Speaker had said that walkout does not vitiate or stop Parliament from taking decision. If you walk out, the rest of the House will continue and do the business. And Mr. Speaker cited many other rulings from Right Honorable Peter Lajete, Aaron Makoke, so many. And certain people who led boycotts, including himself. He said he, the Speaker, as minority leader in 2001, led boycotts. Not once, not twice, a number of times out of the House, which is seen as a legitimate method to register your protest. That's fine. But when you take that decision to walk out, don't think that your absence there necessarily means the House work can no longer go on. That you bring work in the House to a halt. Those who are left will take a decision which will be binding on you when you come back. So like even Bernard Mona said, I have never seen somebody who take your goods to the market, display your goods, and just as people are coming to ask for the price, then you start running away from your own goods. Kwame, you have redirected the store, put your goods there for people to grab. They are coming to ask you for the price to buy, then you have run away from your goods. Who will buy the goods again? Me, you yourself, you are running away from your goods. You discredited the quality or viability of your goods. Nobody will want it again. So that was what happened. So in respect of the NDC, Mr. Speaker ruled clearly that the decision that was taken, Kwame, I don't think that was the 26th of November, that decision was valid and still remains valid till today. So that vindicated the position of the NDC. Then he came back to look at, number one, the decision that was taken by the majority side, aided by the acting speaker. And Kwame, people should listen to me carefully here, because I'm going to make some technical distinctions about what the speaker did and ruled on this matter in respect of the illegality of the exercise they did. And especially, that's where the issue of the misconduct of the acting speaker came in here. And that's what the Mr. Speaker is referred to as misconduct bordering on insubordination. Kwame, in Mr. Speaker's ruling, he made a clear allusion to the fact that the first deputy speaker is a member of parliament. No argument about that. And so, as a member of parliament, he's, notwithstanding the fact that he's a second deputy speaker, first deputy speaker, he's entitled to vote. That is when he is functioning as Honorable Joe Owusu, member of parliament of Bekwai. Okay? Kwame, when he comes into parliament in the morning as Honorable Joe Owusu, member of parliament for Bekwai, and is not speaker, he goes to take his seat as Joe Owusu. And though the first deputy speaker still resides with him, when he's sitting there, he's Joe Owusu, member of parliament for Bekwai, entitled to vote and to take part in the business of the house. He can even debate. Mr. Speaker doesn't debate. But when he sits among members of parliament on the floor, he's entitled to all this as member of parliament. But Mr. Speaker made a distinction between what we call the avoidable absence of the speaker and the unavoidable absence of the speaker. Kwame, listen to me. That's why I say people should listen to me well. Avoidable absence of the speaker and unavoidable absence of the speaker will determine the status of Honorable Joe Owusu. Avoidable absence means what? The speaker is in the chair. He comes in the morning. The speaker is in the chair. When the speaker is in the chair, it means Honorable Joe Owusu will be on the floor as a member of parliament. Okay? So even though at that time, he's Joe Owusu, second deputy speaker, sitting on the floor, he can exercise his right as a member of parliament. Kwame, the speaker is human. He can have some stomach upset. So he wants to go and visit the washroom. Somebody will have to come and preside over the house. Okay? Or Kwame, there's been some extraordinary development in parliament. Maybe some very important person from another part of the world, without much notice, has suddenly come to pay a courtesy call on the speaker. And the speaker is in the chair. So, in order not to slight the important person who is visiting, the speaker may want to get out from his seat, go and attend to that one, and come back. In that case, the speaker is within parliament. He is in Ghana. He has not traveled outside the jurisdiction. So if the Mr. Speaker gets up at that time, we call it the avoidable absence of the speaker. In that case, like I said, Honorable Joe Owusu did not come as a speaker. He is only holding the fort temporarily for Mr. Speaker to come back. So Mr. Speaker said in those instances, he can function as Joe Owusu, member of parliament for Bekwai, and can therefore exercise the right to vote. But when you have a situation where Mr. Speaker is unavoidably absent from the jurisdiction, in unavoidable absence means that he is out of the country for a reason that he cannot do anything about. Like he's not well, assuming. Kwame, he has to attend something for some medical review.
You want to print it? And
he has to leave the shores of Ghana and go into the jurisdiction of another country. So he's out. And when Mr. Speaker is going out, and in this occasion that Mr. Speaker was going out, Mr. Speaker caused the clerk of parliament to write to Honorable Joe that Mr. Speaker will be out of the country for more than 2 weeks. to attend to some review, medical review. In his absence, you have been nominated or you have been assigned the duty as first deputy speaker to act as speaker in the absence of the speaker. Kwame, look at the note too. Take note. In the first case, when the speaker just gets away, he doesn't act as speaker. But when the speaker is out of the country, out of the jurisdiction, he is formally notified that he is now going to function as acting speaker. And as acting speaker, he will accept all the privileges, powers, and authority of Mr. Speaker. Okay? So he's going to exercise the powers, functions, and privileges of the speaker. So you see where the difference is. Very clear. So in that instance, Honorable Joe Owusu was the acting speaker. He had no business as acting speaker taking on the powers, functions, and privileges of the speaker to go and say that there are 137 members of parliament on the floor. I count myself in addition to the other 137 to make it 138. That was completely crass illegality he was indulging in. He was engaging in a very illegitimate act. Because at that time, he was already acting speaker, having been notified of the absence of the speaker, and having been so accorded that right to function as a speaker. So he had no business whatsoever counting himself among the 137 members and saying on that basis they have gotten a quorum. That's why the Mr. Speaker said that it was an act of misconduct. He had misconducted himself by wanting to add himself to that number. So, Kwame, once that was an act of misconduct, it simply meant that he didn't have power to do what he did. Alright?
Yep.
And so, on that morning, first and foremost, we in the NDC side, none of us signed. So, if you look at the votes and proceedings of that day, not a single NDC member of parliament signed the attendance register. So, there was no name of any NDC member of parliament on the decision. So, only the Hansard, which I said is the more authoritative document, the Hansard of that day captured only 137 members of parliament. The speaker went to include himself in it to make it 138, which he had no right to do because at that time he was already speaker. Kwame. So they, even by their own reckoning, they did not have the numbers to do the business that they are talking about. But the ruling of the speaker, as we even indicated, is the members of parliament in parliament. So Kwame, why did Mr. Speaker say somebody can come to parliament and is doing committee work? He has come and signed, but he's not in the chamber. He is working, he's doing committee work. Committee work is an thing, in fact, it's one of the critical works of parliament. The greater volume of work of parliament is done at the committee level. So if somebody is doing a committee work, I want to say that he's not in parliament. So that's why Mr. Speaker's ruling, and Mr. Speaker quoted not only precedent's practice, but even rulings of previous speakers. The Right Honorable Alajete, the Right Honorable Aaron Makokwe, and speakers even before. And speakers elsewhere in other jurisdictions to back this decision. So Kwame, if they did not have that quorum as he talked about, and the participation of the speaker, they didn't have that numbers to take that decision. What they did subsequently, I think on the 30th, is that it? On the 30th was null and void. Mr. Speaker made that decision clear. And that for the records, what transpired on the 26th is what is still on the record of parliament, that the budget had been rejected and truly rejected. That is the official record of parliament. Now, Kwame, like it's been said, walkout is not a panacea for you to assert your rights after you come back. I've always said that the panacea for hunger is not to hold physics in your stomach. It's to go look for food to eat. So Kwame, if you look at the subsequent decision that they sought to take, which was ruled as illegal, it simply means that even the decision they tried to do, because they had to come and say what the NDC did, they have to undertake a decision vote to do it. That is why they did that. The numbers of the number of the addition of the speaker, the acting speaker, to add to it together. So all of them were ruled as null and void. Kwame, now having arrived at this decision clearly, and like that's why Ben and Mona made that point. Mr. Speaker, the dilemma was clear. Now, before Mr. Speaker came back, the ruling in the House under the aegis of Honorable Owusu, acting as Speaker, was that the budget had been approved. And so he had gone on to instruct that committees and others should sit on estimates. And Kwame, let me make this very clear. Because many people have brought this issue as to why, if we in the NDC said we had rejected the budget, why were we sitting on the estimates? Kwame, you can recall that we sought to challenge the ruling of the Speaker. Our leader, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, filed a motion on the floor of the House challenging Mr. Speaker's ruling. The acting Speaker, he ran away from that ruling. He didn't give that ruling. That was the day on which a motion was moved, seconded. Then he, the acting Speaker, referred the motion to the floor for debate. The debate was carried out. And when he had no option to tamper with the motion again by just putting the question, he ran away from putting the question. And others sought to arrest the motion. Kwame. So on record, a challenge had been mounted to this. And so anybody saying that the NDC side willfully just walked into the issue of the estimates would have challenged that decision is wrong. There is evidence on record to show that that decision was challenged and that Mr. Speaker, the acting Speaker, ran away from giving a ruling on the matter and only sought to arrest that decision. This was what we were waiting for Mr. Speaker to come back for the issue to be put, and which was addressed yesterday when our leaders met Mr. Speaker. And thankfully, our position has been vindicated that the budget as rejected on the 26th of November so truly remains the true record on the floor of the House. Okay. And so, Mr. Speaker, having arrived at this, Kwame made a very important statement. He said, I will not be the leader of this House wanting to deliberately frustrate the work of the executive. But I will also not be the leader of this House to allow Parliament to be reduced to the errand boy of the executive. Yeah. So, Kwame, in making that statement, the Speaker sought to convey a certain message. That currently, the business of the budget had gone up to a certain point, illegal as it may be. Because for me, and I would not begrudge anybody who said that having made that finding, Mr. Speaker should have declared the budget rejected as it is, and that a new budget be brought before the House. But all of us know, Kwame, where we have reached. Parliament, as a matter of fact, should have risen today, Friday. We're going to rise today. Even as we speak, Kwame, many committees, my committee, for instance, when we had a problem with the minister, we asked the minister to go away and suspended sitting for some time until she produced reports to the House. And for the first time, Kwame, it was a miracle. From nowhere, reports they said they didn't have, 6 reports that were outstanding, they were able to get 4. So you see how, and that's why I'm saying that this Parliament is working. Because the executive can no longer treat Parliament like the football it plays about. Like the errand boy Mr. Speaker talked about. They cannot. So, Kwame, that has fed into. So Mr. Speaker was looking at the work that was done. And Kwame, when we are dealing with the estimates, it's not just about the budget for the executive alone. Kwame, we are talking about payments, making monies available to public servants across the length and breadth of the country. If you don't do the estimates, ministries, department, agencies, assemblies, all those, they won't get money. So we don't need to punish, Kwame. If you want to have problem with the executive, the president and his people, you don't institute collective punishment on the rest of the country, our public servants, our fathers, our brothers, our mothers, and our sons and daughters working in certain parts of the public service. So that is why, even as we still contested the matter, because we thought that anytime Mr. Speaker came back and the ruling was given, the property would be done. So that is why we proceeded to take the estimates. We did not take the estimates cognizant of the fact that we had accepted that the budget, the illegal approval given by the MPP side was what should stand. No. We did it solely on the strength of meeting the estimates of the departments, agencies, as well as the MMDAs, so that they would get their dissent and not be punished for that. And then Mr. Speaker would still give his ruling and appropriate. So when Mr. Speaker did that, he asked the finance minister to come back to the House with what he had earlier called concessions and trade-offs that he said he was going to do. and not by word of mouth. He should write all those ones, come and lay it before the house today. So, Mr. Speaker, in other words, is telling you that it is not going to be exactly the budget that Honorable Kenu Furata read to Ghanaians. He is coming back with amendments, changes that he has to make. And Kwame, yesterday on the floor of Parliament, something very strange happened. The same Kenu Furata, I'm sure you heard him make a broadcast to Ghanaians about so-called changes that he was contemplating.
Yeah.
Including 100 million he said for the guitar.
For the guitars, yeah.
Very good.
I remember.
Kwame, in the budget estimates yesterday on the floor of the House, which was supposed to have been amended accordingly, for the Ministry of Works and Housing, because that 100 million they say they pledged for the guitar edition, Kwame,
defense,
never reflected anywhere in the estimate.
Oh, you're lying.
That's what I'm telling you, Sydney. Never. So it was a subject matter of heated debate on the floor. Oh. And then we said that is why we say we can't trust these people. Because after all the things the finance minister was saying, there was no mention of that in any of the estimates.
So why would he lie?
Kwame, no estimate, no mention of the estimates. Oh, that's why I say if you see people, they close their pen before the fowls even enter. It's an empty pen. He will tell you it's full of fowls. You go and open, you will not see one feather inside.
Wow.
So that's why when you are doing business with them, you should be very worried. And that is why Mr. Speaker said he should not just sit down and make pronouncements. He should put pen to paper. Put all those things down this morning. Bring it to the House. Come and lay it. Then Mr. Speaker will look at it. Fili, gani. This one is here, this one is here, this one is here, this one is here, this one is here. And we'll look at it. Before he can grant any issues of the...
Let me conclude for me.
So Kwame.
Yeah.
That is what it is. And so I know that this decision is awaited. He is supposed to bring it to Kwame for us to debate it. Even when he brings it, it will be debated.
Kwame, the budget has not been rejected.
So, Bernard, I'm sure you are entitled. I've said that
the budget has not.
People who say that are entitled to that, I will not begrudge you, because I said that it's in the attempt to find out the compromise.
He tried to make some distinction, draw some distinction between when a decision has been taken by a speaker who sits in
for
something and said that he cannot reverse.
No, what he said,
because there was something about some reversal.
A decision that was taken by him as speaker.
Yes, should not have been.
Could not have been reversed.
And then he also said that. Once the deputy has also taken a decision, he cannot come and reverse it. Very good. That is why I'm saying that which one takes precedent. We need to be very clear. That is why I agree with Bernard that if the speaker is saying, hold on, if the speaker is saying that the reversal of this decision was done in error.
Yes.
However, regardless of that error, he will still not come and reverse that which was taken after he left.
Yeah. So
then it means that as it stands now, Joe Wise's decision of the reverse of the approval of the budget stands.
The speaker made it abundantly clear that the decision for the records of the House is that the decision that was taken under him has never been rescinded and has never been reversed.
And he also proceeded to say that the decision of Joe Wise has also not been rescinded.
What is the decision? There's nothing like records of the House and records for the public.
Yes. You see.
What the public is looking at is that is the budget rejected
now? Yes.
If the speaker maintains that he wants to just make it.
I'm sure you heard me say
Alaji, this gymnastics you people are doing in
Mr.
Parliament.
Speaker should have
You should be careful.
The budget thrown out.
This gymnastics you people are doing in Parliament, just be careful.
No, listen to me very well.
Because you people are taking people for a ride.
I'm sure you didn't listen to me well.
No, I don't need to listen
your
to.
Submission.
Bottom line is, has the budget been
because I indicated
all that you have said that you are saying that you are still meeting at committee level and approving content of the budget.
I went through the chronology of events and told you that if anybody wants to say that he has reservations that the speaker did not formally pronounce that the budget has been formally thrown out per his ruling, because that is what he said, that the decision taken under him is still legitimate. So if it is still legitimate, how will you say the budget still exists?
Yeah, but
so the budget exists because you people are meeting, you are approving, the transport minister's budget has been approved.
That's even going beyond the periphery. The point is that in establishing the fact that the decision that
he took
when he was speaker before he left has not been reversed, right? That's what he said. But then also went on to say that when he was absent, there was another decision which was taken by the substantive
Kwame,
by the acting speaker.
Don't forget Martin
That
Amidu's
decision still stands.
Martin
That's what he
Amidu's
said.
position.
So I'm just telling you.
No, hold on, brother.
I'll give you a
So
scenario.
in that case,
Kwame, I'll give you a scenario and you understand where
so
we are.
he's saying that mine has not been reversed.
So there is also.
But I also
what Joe also did cannot be reversed.
Absolutely. So what's the position?
So that is why I told you
Yes.
that if anybody wants to say that, Mr. Speaker, you have established a very fine point about the fact that what they did was illegal. Is that not the case? So if you have established a fine point about what they did was illegal, why would they have a budget in place? Anybody who asks that question is legitimate. Because you have built an argument that has gone to prove that what they did was illegitimate. What they did under you was legitimate. The throwing out of the budget was legitimate.
And
the subsequent edition, you have shown by your argument that it was illegitimate.
No.
It was not done properly. He said it. He said it.
Yes. He said that.
So what
he said that Joe Wise made some procedural mistakes.
Yes. So
however,
he doesn't want to set it aside.
Exactly.
Yes. So
but what does it mean? If he said that I don't want to set it aside,
not wanting to set it aside doesn't mean that it's legal. It's legal.
They only have
but
to
it also
find out
doesn't mean that it has been disapproved.
No. So that's why I was coming to the decision that if anybody has any question to ask, that it should have been disapproved, because from the logic that the speaker espoused, it was thrown out.
Alhaji, you have the same question to ask. Why are you afraid to ask?
The speaker.
Why are you afraid to
Mr.
ask?
Speaker, hold on, Bernard. With respect, Mr.
You
Speaker.
people just went and did your congruent.
No.
With
respect.
And then after that, listen. After that, the minority did not speak. The majority did not speak.
Hold on. The speaker sought to expand his argument on the basis of I think section 102 of the Constitution.
He quoted.
Even and then said that when a speaker takes a decision, as another acting speaker or whatever it is cannot come and reverse the decision that he's taking. Similarly, Similarly, if that error has occasioned, it doesn't also mean that upon his return to Parliament, he will come and also reverse the decision which Joe Wise has taken.
I'm waiting for
what it means is that he's saying that there's a limbo. My decision still stands. Joe Wise's decision stands. So why did the speaker strike further?
I said it earlier in my presentation. I don't know whether you are not listening to me.
So what is the current position? Situation now.
So that is why I'm saying that if anybody wants to ask questions legitimately like we are doing, I will not fault you for asking that. If you say that what they did was wrong, because we can only have one position, which is right.
Yes.
Both of us cannot be right.
Absolutely.
One is right and one is wrong.
Yes.
If Mr. Speaker, in doing all this, had indicated here, and you could see it, he said it here.
I wish you could give me the video. Because I remember what he said very carefully.
Yes, he said it. That his decision could not have been reversed.
Yes.
So as the fact that what Joe Wise also did
cannot also be reversed.
Hey, no, he said he will not like to reverse it.
No, he said it cannot be reversed. I listened to him.
He didn't say cannot. He said he will not like to reverse it.
Because to reverse it would mean that he's going against the standing orders of Parliament, which means that that's what
understanding orders. That is what he used to arrive at the conclusion that what they did was illegitimate. So I am saying that Kwame, if anybody like Bernard Mona is listen to me. I think like Bernard Mona is asking if he wants to
bottom line
indicate
they have used us once again
on the basis of his own ruling, he should have accepted that there is no budget. Sorry. And on that one he's right. I won't question that. You have read. Following from the chronology of events, you cannot deduce and say that what they did was illegal, and at the same time, because what they did is illegal, it cannot be reversed. that one, people can ask questions legitimately, and they have a right to ask questions. Why did the speaker fail to do that? That's why I'm saying that he was. You even said that maybe there was perhaps some dilemma. The dilemma as for allowing government business to continue versus making sure that the right thing is done for them to come and start where it is. Many other people, if you ask the opinion of many people, they will say that you should have said that it's illegal. They should bring the fresh budget.
Because it appears that the speaker was blowing hot and cold.
So
first you say that you don't want to stifle government business. But also you don't also want to be a stooge.
Yes, Kwame. I will not blame anybody who will say that he thought Mr. Speaker should have taking the bull by the horns.
Absolutely.
I will not.
Yes, but that's what he was supposed to do.
I will not.
Because we are all awaiting his
I am only telling you
to make pronouncements.
What has happened and what must have influenced the speaker to say that, look, I will not frustrate government business.
You continue.
Given where they have reached.
Yes.
But I will also not allow the executive to be an errand boy, the parliament
errand
to be an errand boy.
So what is it?
So you must try to juggle.
What is it?
So I'm saying it's the juggling.
So what is the juggling?
Kwame, that's what you are saying.
So the juggling is that we should bring amendments. We should bring, because I remember I said, amendment.
Yes, the finance minister must come back.
Yes, come
back. That's what I just read.
Because the amendment was predicated on what he describes as a leadership meeting which was held between himself and the leadership of the House, to the effect that whatever it is that we needed to make concessions on needed to be, we needed to arrive at a conclusion. But he ended by saying that even at that meeting, there was no decision.
Yes, so it was the last one I'm coming to.
It was on so what it means is that.
What is the last one I'm coming to?
So come to that last
yes.
one. But clearly,
you know that
clearly,
we had indicated in our decision one of our most vehement disapproval on this matter is the e-transactions levy. We on the side of the NDC have indicated in unequivocal terms that we will not accept 0.0001%. So for us, the e-levy is a zero option. It's not up for discussion for us. We are not accepting e-levy in any semblance or in any form. So for us, it's zero. Kwame, it is today that they are bringing the bill on the e-levy. The decision on the e-levy has not yet been taken. So let nobody come to a conclusion that the e-levy has been passed. It's not. It is today that the bill.
You want to contemplate it.
Today, no. I'm telling you today that the bill is coming today.
You want to contemplate
the what?
E-levy.
No, I'm saying that zero option for us. We have made it that very clear. You yourself said it here that when they were, Mr. Speaker was mentioning 1.75, 1.5, 1%, 0.5%, there were shouts from our side that 0%. So that is us. We are not accepting e-levy in any form or manifestation. So the bill is
let's
coming.
place the issues into proper perspective. And
yes.
I think that you've expanded your argument. We all understand and appreciate where you're coming from.
Yes.
But clearly, we need to make a forward-looking argument.
Yes.
Point is,
yes,
Speaker has returned.
Yes.
All of us were awaiting Speaker's return.
Yes.
To make a proper determination as to whether or not what transpired in his absence is legitimate or otherwise.
Yes.
When he came.
Yes.
That which we needed to hear from him,
yes,
even though he sought to try to make some argument, is still unclear. So, what is the truest position
Kwame,
of the law,
Kwame,
of the standing order,
and
what is the current situation with respect to the budget?
Kwame,
those are the questions that we need.
Kwame, let me give you a scenario. You know, I don't mince words. I have absolute respect for the truth, and that is why I told you that if anybody wants to say that having established this, Mr. Speaker should have gone ahead and said the budget was dismissed, go and bring a new budget, I will not begrudge you. I have said it based on the logical reasoning that he himself gave to say that what was done under him was legitimate. There can be only one position. Either we were right or they were right. And if we were right, as Mr. Speaker himself asserted, that the decision taken under him cannot be reversed, and showed why it could not even be reversed, and that any attempt to reverse it was illegal. And so the logical consequence would have been that the budget is rejected. Go bring a new budget. I will not begrudge you. But I can say I'm not in the Speaker's head. I don't know the dilemma he was in. But Kwame, I'm saying that, you see, it's akin. Let me tell you this small story that is akin to this one. You see, the chief had two principal elders, a chief in Dagbon. One was called Achiri, the other was called Janfo. Achiri came to accuse Janfo before the chief that Janfo had stolen his yams, his yam seedlings. And it was such a heated matter. And these were two loyalists of the chief. So the chief looked at it, he didn't know how to solve that problem. So on the day that it mattered, he said he should go home and come. I'm not giving this as a perfect scenario, but something akin to what we are discussing. So on the day the chief was going to give the ruling, he said, look, I have known Achiri for God knows how many years now, who is making the allegations against Janfo. He has never lied. So when he says something, it's true. I have also known Janfo. He's a very honest and transparent person. He has never stolen. Ever since I knew, he has never stolen. And he's a man of integrity. I believe he will not steal. So, Achille has not lied, Janfo has not stolen. So it's the same verdict you are bringing to me now. And that is why I'm saying that, having established these points, the logical conclusion any person could have arrived at was that if there was no budget, it would have been made so clearly that there was no budget, they should go back and bring a new budget. Mr. Speaker has come home, he has ruled, this is what he has said. But I am saying that I am not he said. In his estimation, he says, I don't know whether he's want to say that he doesn't want to frustrate government business, and for that matter, where they have reached, let us continue. Let's let sleeping dogs lie.
That is what it is.
Because he made a statement that we are where we are because of these infractions.
Of course.
So I don't know whether where we are is a compromise to say that, look, even though it was wrong, let sleeping dogs lie and let's see how it can.
That is what it is.
So if it is that, and somebody wants to criticize it, I'm indicating to you that I cannot.
But are you happy he made that statement?
Kwame.
No. I mean, you have to, are you happy? Because you see, Ghanaians are very interested in this particular budget. Yes. Because of all the things which,
Kwame,
you know,
all the logical thing many people, like I said, would have expected that if what they did was illegitimate, was illegal, was against the law and the standing orders of the House, we should accept it as such and bring the issue to the fore.
Bernard,
that is how it should be.
The messages Bernard,
I'm with Bernard. I see what he's talking about.
Bernard, what the messages that I'm receiving on Facebook is suggesting that it appears that the Speaker plus the leadership, minority leadership in Parliament are softening their stance. These are messages I'm reading.
So
with respect,
let me just land on this.
Let me let Bernard.
I'm just having noticed that because I have today we are taking the e-levy, and I'm telling you the bill.
Yes,
I am telling you 100%.
Yes. Okay.
The NDC side is 100%.
Do you know my
all the 137 members of the NDC will vote against the
Honorable. Let me see my Bernard, and my problem with Honorable and his people is that they have singled out e-levy, right?
Not
and making it, hold on, and making it so. For instance, if Kenneth Orata and his people went and said, okay, e-levy 0%. It means that you tell me that you approve the budget,
Kwame.
Irrespective of what.
Are you not aware? We brought
let me come to Bernard. For the benefit of
Bernard.
Let me come to
no, for the avoidance of that, Kwame, you have to be fair.
Because you keep saying
we said that the e-levy. We have said that the fees and charges are between 15 and 20% tied to inflation. We have said it. We said the Aka energy issue. We have mentioned it. We have talked about benchmark values. Kwame, we are aware of it.
Yes,
we have talked about the Qatar Sea defense.
So I'm surprised that
we have talked about
the
when I said even the 100 million that they said in the Qatar thing was not even involved.
Absolutely,
part of the estimates of the Minister of West House. I said it. So it is not only the e-levy,
but the primus inter pares is e-levy.
Yes, exactly.
Bernard, respectfully,
which we are irrevocably opposed to.
Bernard, respectfully,
Alhaji tried to defend the Speaker of Parliament, or the statement of the Speaker of Parliament, and has ended up in the same dilemma that the Speaker is said to find himself. Alhaji, the story of the two loyalists of the chief does not in any way...
Fine expression.
It's a stalemate.
Does not in any way. The chief did not do investigations. The chief only said one has never stolen.
No, it's an example I just gave you.
One has never lied.
We are subject to your example to straight proof.
One has never lied. The chief has not told us whether there was yam, his yam is missing, and that the yam has been traced to somebody's farm. In which case, there will be a pronouncement. If the chief yam is not missing and you say my yam is missing, my yam is not missing, so nobody could have stolen the yam.
It's not the chief. It's the other one.
Whoever.
You understand? In this instance, our budget was rejected.
Yes.
The Speaker of Parliament comes to justify the rejection of the budget and says that the action of the Deputy Speaker is a misconduct and is insubordination. And goes ahead to point out that a Vice President cannot overturn, even as he put it as a question, a Vice President cannot overturn a decision taken by the President. So he put the question, can a Vice President overturn a decision of the President at a cabinet? Parliament was quiet. When you finish, do you say that the vice president decision overturning the president stands?
No, you don't say that.
Do you say that, okay, having said all these things, okay, you go and bring some modifications and come and
let's see what we can do.
So
look, we don't think you are not pleasing NDC people. You are not pleasing the non-aligned. This morning, somehow my fuel gauge did not show that my fuel was getting off.
No,
Alaji, when I took the underbridge, I came out. I noticed that my car was jerking. So I moved straight to the Palace Mall. There is a fuel station there. Hoping that because the car was jerking, I got there was no fuel. I tried to go to the Sprinters Road before Papaye. I couldn't get there. I sat on the motorbike so we could go and buy fuel. The guy who took me on the motorbike said, me Finkoko, I am an MPP member. But near Kosovo Parliament, no. We thought that Parliament would stand for those of us who even voted for Nana and are regretting. This is, I'm telling you right now, I will give you the guy's number. You can call him. He said I should call him. That day, he was born into MPP. He has struggled for MPP. He was even a polling station executive. But what is going on now? He said he's an Okada rider. Trying to make a living. He goes to buy fuel. And every day, something is added to fuel. And now you are going to bring e-levy. That boy cannot tolerate it.
No, e-levy, we are not supporting.
Then you people come and sit here and you are doing charade.
No.
Scratch my back and scratch your back. Then you go and sit down. Alaji, let me finish. Okay. You go and sit down and say that, oh, you have a leadership meeting. So you come and read. 1 hour, you are reading to us. When you finish, go and bring a budget statement. Committee members go and work. Throwing iron filings in our eyes.
This one, Honorable, is going to a committee meeting.
Throwing iron filings in our eyes. Parliament cannot continue to acquiesce to some of these obnoxious things that are coming. And you know, it hurts. It hurts. Because people's lives are involved in this matter. People's businesses are involved in this matter. And then you people are doing us like this because you are 275 in Parliament. You can always go and say something and say that for the record. We don't care what record you put in Parliament. We care what record affects us. You.
So Kwame, I cannot for once, like I said, begrudge what Bernard is saying. In all honesty. And
this thing is like supporting Martin.
And I'm saying that
it's festive time, so the executives will have to rub their palms so that they can go and take care of their consequences.
Kwame,
what is this?
Kwame, I have said it without number, and I want you to mark it down. We in the NDC have said 137 members on our side fully are going to vote against the e-levy. We have made that clear. We are categoric.
E-levy.
We are categoric. We have also talked about
but you have voted against the budget, which means that the e-levy has been voted against. What are you talking about?
They are debating the budget.
Kwame, is it not the papers?
Kwame. Transport Ministry budget has been approved.
Kwame, is it not us? I just indicated to you that when you are dealing with the estimates, you are talking about the larger other groups in the society that have nothing to do with the kind of politics that they have brought into the chamber. Ministries, department, agencies, and their emoluments and compensation are in these estimates. If we leave it, there will be no pay for public service.
It's not true.
No, I'm coming.
It's not true.
Let me
you people are falling into this
warped
argument of the Minister for Finance.
Let me make a point.
Why?
We have what we call payments on account.
Previously, budget statements were not presented before the end of the year.
Let me make this point, Bernard.
They were not,
because
they were always presented the full year. But you people agreed.
We are not speaking at cross purposes. We are not.
From 1993,
and that is why I told you.
From 1993 to 1996, Kwame, budget statements were presented in the following year. This time you decide to present it months before the other year. How were those things run?
You see, Kwame, I just want to state. That's why I'm saying that I think Bernard should also take
He's
time.
upset. He's upset with
Yes,
what's
you see,
going on. And I'm sure many Ghanaians
I can
very
understand
upset.
your emotion.
Yes. But you
I-
see, but even the
I feel
minority,
the same
we
way.
don't understand the opposition clearly.
No.
Every day, e-levy. You people have said that.
Yes.
And now
the budget has been disapproved.
Yes.
That is what it is.
Yes.
So that is what we, the Ghanaian people, know.
And then you
And
make
this
us
is
all to go with you.
We want
that
to
the
file.
budget
We want to
stand-
file a motion seeking to ensure that what the MPP side did was illegal and that our position.
But now there's no ruling. But there's no ruling on that.
It's us.
But there's no ruling
So
on
that
that.
was what was brought before the speaker, and this is what the speaker has ruled.
So there is a,
So
it can be compromised.
So you expect me to answer that?
What can't you answer that?
That I can say, you want me to sit here and tell you that the speaker has been compromised. You want me to say that?
Because you found a motion.
How can I say
Which motion is intended?
I've gotten my
Which
answer.
motion is intended?
No, but you when you say somebody has been compromised, it's a very serious allegation to make.
I'm only asking the question.
Yes.
Just as
Don't expect me to answer that.
but just as the speaker asked the question whether or not a vice president can overturn the decision by the
I've made the point very clear that
Yeah.
anybody who raises those, I will side with you. You are in legitimate grounds.
You filed
You
the
are
motion.
legitimate. So I'm
you are killing your
not
people.
disagreeing with you.
You are killing your
I am
supporters.
telling you that the questions you are raising are legitimate.
Yeah, and you are happy.
They are legitimate.
No, is the NDC happy that the speaker failed to respond to the motion that he put before the
No,
House?
because
because the motion that you hold on, honorable. Let's have
Yes.
the motion that you put before Parliament.
Yes.
Was very specific.
Yes.
You needed to have a specific answer.
Yes.
Not this rhetorical
Kwame,
submissions
you are
advanced
not
by.
being fair to the answer. There are 2 or 3 parts of the answer. The first answer is to assert whether what we did was legitimate or not.
And you got the
That's
answer.
the first. So,
No,
so
but everybody knows what you did was
Wait.
legitimate.
So that is the first point to start.
Uh-huh.
The decision that was taken on November 26th, was it legitimate or not? And Mr. Speaker has answered that decision was legitimate. And that what we did was in consonance with the constitution of this republic and the standing orders of the
Nothing
House.
is legitimate
So
about
you are
it.
not looking at the second leg.
Stop
Having
what you are
seen
doing here,
Kwame.
because the more
So
you
that's why I
talk
wanted to
about
tell you.
is
Having
legitimate,
accepted
it
that
hurts.
that decision was legitimate, what then happens after that? So that's the next one we come to.
Your question.
That's the way we
No,
make that
what was
happen.
the motion you filed?
To make sure that to indicate that the decision that was taken on November 26th to throw out the budget was legitimate.
That was the motion you filed.
That's the motion. And so if it stood, the
Is it
budget was thrown out.
not a motion seeking to find out whether or not the subsequent decision was valid or otherwise?
No, the thing was we said that if our decision was valid, what they did was invalid.
Kwame.
Very simple. But that's why I told you that both positions could not be valid. So if you validate one, it is an invalidation of the other.
Let's go.
And that's why the speaker said that what was done on November 26th
let's
was
go and talk
legitimate.
about
What they did was not valid because it violated a number of
All right.
Let's go.
Let me read a few messages. Let me read a few
Talk about
messages.
import of
We are not-
rice.
we are
But people are watching us on Benwayo.
So
Benwayo GH.
we are not talking about
Benwayo GH. So let me read a few messages
We are
from Benwayo GH. The speaker is considerate to the people of Ghana by requesting for amended budget. He could request for fresh budget. Equia Akosomo Nyantechiwa says, then there is no verdict. Eben Brown says, you're understanding? Okay, well, they are fighting. Abdullah Isa says, I'll be disappointed in the leadership of the minority if the budget has been approved. Good morning. Okay, well, somebody is greeting you, Bernard Mona. His name is Ishaku Trotro Driver. Kojo Prayer says, I miss Right Honorable Doajahu. He would not tolerate such misconduct from a deputy speaker. Thomas Doji Nyameshi Acoustic says, Honorable Lady Fuseni, in the middle between the devil and the deep blue sea. Kojo Prayer says, I'm beginning to believe that the NDC minority in parliament are good at talking than defending their own intuition. Ajay Bar Richmond said, I like Alhaji, but today he's talking and he's continuing. Yeah, he says today you are not speaking is what he wants. And if you continue, there's a mafia in 2024.
Oh. Kwame,
Ishmael says, Kwame, why are you stressing Honorable Lebi Vuzen like this? King Kwame says, today I'm disappointed. Let me read a few messages from our Facebook page as well. A lot of them, actually.
We can go to the last one. The
Yes.
sergeant.
Kwame, please tell Honorable Vuzen that they, the MPs on the left-hand side, because we don't have majority, neither minority, They are making some of us hungry. They should be very careful of what they are doing. Okay. Med Akida says, good morning, Kwame, and to your panelists. The ordinary Ghanaian said no to e-levy by Med Kampaha. Dickon Thompson Ayibo says, minorities are disgrace, especially the speaker. The speaker is not part of the minority. Biel Clement says, the NDC caucus are businessmen in parliament. They cannot be trusted. Not all of them. Some of them, I believe. Eric Kabla, Kwame, read my message. Okay, I've read it. Eddie of Zeni, is this really what you guys are doing? Ghanaians need to be proud of having a person like Honorable Ebi Vuseni. Ibrahim Shiraz, okay. Eric Kabla said, Honorable Ebi Vuseni, we do not trust you people. Simple.
No problem.
Honorable is so passionate about the NDC's business in parliament that he doesn't like it when people say you don't trust them, please. At least say you don't trust some of them. No, so. Honorable, no, so.
Kwame,
your people are misleading. The speaker clearly lock out Joai's misconduct. I don't understand what you mean by that. Isaac Badita. KOD, good morning to you and your panelists.
Isaac, I know him.
Okay, this NDC caucus in parliament are not to be trusted. Trust me, when fish begins to rot, it starts from the head. The leaders on the minority side, big problem, very sad. Honorable Ibuzini will disagree with you vehemently.
He doesn't disagree, Kwame. I think that
but he will support the argument.
No, you must listen to ABA Fuseni, and I think that it only takes the wise to understand his position.
I know. That's for us. We understand Honorable Fuseni's position. Okay, well, I thought I had some. Okay, so KOD, Charlie Dennis, well, I quit. This your message is long too much. The last topic, so that we can get out of here. But Honorable, we have something to do in Parliament.
Yes,
it's
I've told you that today we are considering the.
Yes, so let's run. Let's wrap up.
Kwame, let me take this opportunity once again.
Yeah.
To reiterate that the minority stands with the good people of this country. Indeed, from the very presentation of this budget, with the e-levy at the pivot, it has taken the leadership of the minority and the entire minority to stand in opposition at this, even to the point of mobilizing all the 137 members for us to vote out the budget.
Okay, Ben, so
if we're not committed, well, but this issue of the presidential jet we are talking about,
at least. But I've shared the picture of the presidential jet.
No, but they've not shown it.
They should project it.
Honorable. At least if you don't fear God,
fear death.
There are people who know. There are people who even don't believe in God. Okay. But I've said that if you don't believe in gravity, you jump and let's see whether you suspend. You come down. And all of us someday will face our maker.
Of course.
And so, if Allah Almighty in His infinite wisdom gives you the authority to lead.
Is it already in Ghana?
Yes, Kwame.
But it looks like McDonald's jet.
I said this is the one that was parked at the airport. This is the one President Akufo-Addo has been. I personally
this is the blue and white we have been using.
But
I think I've seen. So that's why people think that now
I took the picture.
It has either been bought already, so that the loan will then come to be approved, and then they will say it's going for some other period. If you are talking of 2024, why are you looking for money now?
You took this picture.
I took it.
Yes,
myself.
and Kwame.
But it looks like McDonald's.
Is this the time that anybody should be talking about presidential jet? Look at the lives of our people today. So this is not only callous, it's wicked for anybody at this time to, if you had money that we can use to ameliorate themselves. Kwame, every MMDA, ministry, department, agency, and that they are suffering a huge lack of resources. The only institution that has gotten a significant increase is the presidency, Office of Government Machinery, from 2.6 billion to 3.1 billion, 500 billion increase. These people do not have sympathy for Ghanaians. That you have to talk about the comforts of your leader. Kwame, it's Bill Clinton who said that it is in times of hardship and difficulty that the true character of sacrifice of leaders emerge. In times of difficulty like this, a leader, you are looking for your personal comforts. What has happened to our presidential jet? Kwame, is that not the one they even tried to make trotto for other African heads of state to carry to? So if it was not airworthy, why did Opongwea carry, His Excellency Opongwea carry it to the United States? It took him there safely and brought him back. What is wrong with them? We demanded that the defense minister and the national security should come and brief parliament about what is wrong with the presidential jet. They have not indicated to us that there's anything wrong with the presidential jet.
All right.
Why are we buying another presidential jet?
Let me hear from you. Honorable, you need to go.
Bernard, the good people of this country must stand up and make sure that some of these silly things that are being done are stopped.
Bernard, let's go.
The good people will stand up when our members of parliament are with us.
We are with you, Bernard. We are.
This issue of whether or not the jet that the president has been using as a charter should be converted as a purchase for the people of Ghana will not come to us for a vote. Kwame, it will go to parliament. And if our parliament will continue in the same charade that we are witnessing, we are not safe under the circumstances. I am very devastated that we are trying to punish the people of Ghana. We are trying desperately. Kwame, you know what it means to do government services? What it means is that if you work to go and pay school fees, it's a government service you are going to pay. It will be increased by 15%. If you are going to pay electricity, it will be increased by 15%.
Not just 15%, tied to inflation.
You understand? If you are going to pay water, it will be increased by 15%. If you are going to pay for fuel, it will be increased by 15%. These are the contents of the budget statement that we have not rejected, which has been approved, and the decision has been accepted by our speaker that let's go on with the budget, because if we don't, it means that we are frustrating our executive. The executives are frustrating and strangulating us. And Parliament doesn't want to frustrate them. They want them to strangulate us. We are ready for them to strangulate us because our Parliament is joining. Look, I read the story, which is part of your story. We spent 6.9 billion importing rice. 6.9, and this is Alan Chiremanteng, the Minister for Trade. 6.9 billion. That is things that they have recorded.
With the president.
The ones that we have not recorded. And if you listen to some of the poultry farmers who are crying that poultry or chicken prices will increase by more than 50% of the last year, because the cost of producing a chicken in Ghana is high. And then now what has happened is that contrary to, and I was amazed to hear the name of Dr. Anna Bisu in this whole debate. They are saying that it was Anna Bisu, when she was deputy minister, she instituted that, look, before you can import poultry into this country, you must have bought at least 40% of that in Ghana. So those who were importing chickens into this country will always have to go and queue at Kwabena Darko's farms and other farms to at least make the 40% before you are given the authority to now import the 60%.
That's sensible.
And that now, having done the investment into that sector, this policy has been obliterated since Bisu left office. And now they are importing everything. So the majority of the people are not able to now keep pace because the imported ones have low value.
You know, now they rot very quickly.
You understand? Because they
some of them have been stored.
Yeah.
Some of them have been stored for years.
You know the danger it portends.
That's why they call it mortuary meat.
Yeah.
And that is why the poultry farmers are saying that government of Ghana and the ministry must take urgent steps.
It's terrible.
To ensure that no maize is exported.
Yeah.
No soya is exported. That we must satisfy the local, because look, the poultry sector they depend largely on soya and on maize. Now, how does the government even stop this? Because when you want to go, you pass through Fielmo, Alaji. You are in Burkina Faso. You fly through Wakambu, Kwekura area. You are
my area.
You are straight in Togo. So you can export. In fact, some of our farms are even in the other side of the border. Because you live in Ghana and your farm is in Burkina Faso. So you harvest and leave it there. And so you are not able to stop it. Now, if you spend 6.9 billion importing rice, when we can produce rice, a lot of rice in Sakana, a lot of rice in Sanerugu. In fact, Gumani used to be called Rice City. We have not done anything. Just imagine that amount of money. 6.9 billion. We use that. That means that is money we have sent out. Sending that money out means that you have generated employment in those countries, creating unemployment to the tune of 6.9 billion. And you are here trying to charge us e-levy.
Thank you, Bernard. Big Brown would have been developed with 6.9 billion. Honorable Owusu, thank you very much. Thank you to the viewers for watching today's edition of Good Morning Africa. My name is Kwame Owusu Danso. Thank you to Benjamin Wayo for picking our Facebook feed. I appreciate. Thank you. Tomorrow is Alaji and Alaji goes public. And yeah, Honorable Owusu will be here. I wish we would have Bernard Mona here too. Oh, Bernard is going to be here, Charlie. Tomorrow you can't miss it. It's open to the public, so at the forecourt of Pan-African Television, we'll be having the Alaji and Alaji, the last one for the year. You can, as a matter of fact, be part of the audience. Be seated here at Pan-African Television at exactly 7 p.m. Now, make sure that, in order that you don't get lost, all right, just punch in Pan-African Television into your Google location, Pan-African Television, it will bring you here, straight. If you don't know here, I'm telling you, it's between Jowulu traffic light and Mawako. So you can't get lost. If you also know Okodian Kwai. Yeah, I know a lot of people know Okodian Kwai. So let me see you tomorrow. I'll be here. Tonight is Carol's night at Pan-African Television. It's going to be very exciting. I'll see you guys when I see you. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.